Hi guys, Ren here and welcome to the workshop. Today I'll talk about one of my usual subjects, and those are wheels. But first, quite often people ask how do I keep my bike so clean and why. Well, today is really kind of an exception because all my bikes are pretty dirty, but that's more or less a sign of a good week of riding. But anyway, let's go back to wheels. So if you follow my channel, then you probably know that for a while now, actually this season, I've used Enve wheels and wheel sets, all kinds of depths and well, all types of rims for all kinds of disciplines. And one thing you do get as a big advantage with Enve wheels is they really only produce the rims, and you can choose basically to build your wheel set however you like it. And that's kind of an advantage and a disadvantage at the same time, because if you're not really experienced, not really in tune with the options in the market, then it can be quite daunting, really. So yeah, back when I bought my first wheel sets, and those were the rim 4.5 and 7.8, I chose the Enve carbon hubs, which are super light, super expensive, have DT240 internals, and at that time I thought that it's probably the best choice available, because to be honest, I didn't really look into some other options that I had at my disposal. But since then I got a bit more clever and cautious, and I actually tried out an option that's offered by the company that distributes Enve to me, and those are carbon TI hubs, and I'm sure you have already seen these in a couple of my videos. So today in this video I'm going to explain why did I chose these ones and still continue to have my wheels build up with these hubs. And as you can see, all the wheels I have on these hubs are disc brake wheels, but my next 5.6 SES Enve wheels are not going to be on Enve hubs anymore, but again on carbon TI rim brake hubs. So why is that? If we go back to the rim brake version, there are a couple of advantages. So yes, the Enve hubs are very light, but the carbon TI hubs, they are just 20 to 30 grams heavier, and they cost half as much. So that knocks basically 500-600 euros from the price of the wheel set, which is considerable. And they don't really lack in quality if you compare them, quite in contrary. So I don't know about the stiffness numbers, but the carbon TIs do use straight pull spokes if you want, although I think there are flanged options as well, but I prefer the straight pull versions. Really, they're just a more modern look. Yeah, they have bearing preload adjustment, which can come in handy, so then they don't have the preload preset as with DT240 style hubs like these ones. They have a pretty damn good and very easily serviceable ratchet mechanism, and also the bearings are quite sturdy, and yeah, the seals as well. I have these in off-road applications, as you can see, quite a lot of washing on there and no problems so far. And generally, if you think about a high-end wheel set, you usually go with DT240 or Chris King hubs. Chris Kings are super nice, but they're heavy, so I'm not a weight weenie, but if I can save weight without actually compromising the performance, then I usually go for the lighter option, or will always go for the lighter option. And talking of lighter options, I had previously some other hubs that were lighter than these. So, for example, a couple of extra light models. So the X hub, SP and SL, all kinds of those. Well, the problem is hubs like these aren't really usable in the real world every day. They have tiny bearings, tiny axles. They're not very sturdy. So according to the reviews of professional wheel builders that I've asked, the Carbon TI is the lightest hub that you can actually use in an all-around wheel set for everyday riding, and that's been exactly right. Of course, the DT240 is a good option, but I think it's just a bit boring, you know. And if you look at the specs, then actually the Carbon TIs have a little bit better bracing angles, and you can save 50 to 100 grams compared to DT240, depending on the configuration, of course. They're also beautifully machined, so if you have an eye for that, I certainly have, then yeah, they're a joy to look at, beautifully finished. So overall, I'm very happy with them. Here you can see the preload adjustment. The end caps can be easily switched, they're threaded. So that's another neat feature. If you have different bikes with different axle standards, not really a problem. I have the standard width here for the cross bike with the Enve CX tubulars. 4.5 ARs here, they're the exact same hubs. And then I have a boost spec of the same hub again. Nice black anodizing as well. The ratchet mechanism is a bit special too, because it uses a pole system. So yeah, not really a ratchet mechanism then, not like a DT Swiss hub would be, but more traditional in a sense. So uses 4 poles, but they're not, at least what I've seen, they're not shaped traditionally. They have these little teeth or indentations in there to have better engagement. The drive ring is machined out of titanium alloy, so it's super tough and has 56 points of engagement. So nice quick 6-degree action there, excellent for cyclocross and mountain biking. And actually the only problem I have with this free hub is the noise. Now this one isn't that noisy, and the one on the mountain bike isn't too bad as well. Yeah, quite civilized. But for some reason, this free hub, yeah, this is the loudest of the lot. Even though it's completely identical, it has the same level or amount of grease in it. It's just louder than the others. Of course, not a performance drawback, but yeah, it's a bit too much sometimes, but that just motivates you to pedal more a bit, I guess, which is handy in cyclocross. So anyway, this is why I've chosen the Carbon TI hubs. So far I can only recommend them. They also have nice anodized colors or a standard polished finish, so plenty of options there in terms of looks and fit, different variations, and yeah, so far I'm very happy with them. Can only recommend them. If you want a nice high-end wheel build, then for me at least this is the hub to go to. Okay, now if you want to know more about the wheel sets that I use, or perhaps my complete bikes, then don't forget to tune into the channel and subscribe. It's all for today. Thanks for watching and see you next time.